When most of us study news, we kind of read them in silos because obviously it's coming to us on a daily basis. So every day, even the most sincere students, they end up devoting 15, 20 minutes each on everyday news. But what actually UPSC wants you to do is something like this.
UPSC always something about futuristic and mostly, for example, 16 they asked about why can't India make manned missions. So that was futuristic approach of UPSC. So why are we unable to do?
And now, for a topper level person or a ranker level person, for that person to attempt this question in 250 words, you have to be able to convert all of your, synthesized notes into 250 words in a way that you can actually put into the paper. Essays are becoming trickier on the UPSC because essays are now becoming more abstract, more philosophical. So you have to develop that thought.
For example, in France, they banned burqa, saying that it's secularism, everyone has to be same. So they are not respecting the cultures of the person actually. So if a person likes to wear burqa, then why should the government stop them from wearing a burqa? Simple. So over secularization does that thing. That's what we have to think of. But generally what we think is secularism is...
Now this is not easy. ये बिल्कुल भी आसान नहीं, especially for a beginner. It's not easy. And to tell you that, ऐसे कर लो would be like being slightly cruel on the optimistic side. Like Randy sir mentioned, right? Beginner की vocabulary यही होती. You know or you understand or you recognize. What you actually need is that if a topic has come up in the news good number of times that it merits you to take a focused shot at making revision ready notes, here are the key elements that you need. Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible, and so is Randy sir. Give me a yes on the chat if you're able to see us and hear us. This is a one-of-a-kind webinar, and I've been giving webinars with my senior mentors for this year, telling you the kind of content you need to create, even if you're doing self-study or a course with us, whatever. But this is a very, very unique webinar, so I hope you have your notes or some kind of a paper and pen ready. This is going to be pure play academic webinar. As we discussed, the theme of this webinar is to self-check yourself, kind of do a self-diagnosis if you're ready to write 2025 UPSC paper. Okay, the 24 paper just went right away. And when I say ready, I mean that, we want to tell you the level of competition that you're going to face, the kind of questions that are coming. So kind of prepare you for what's coming. Okay, so that, you can take a very conscious and very realistic call about whether to go for 2025 or 26. If you still want to go for 25, what are the things you need to do ahead from now on? Now, I hope I'm audible and make sense, right? There are three parts to this webinar. The first part, I'm going to pick up a news snippet, a larger theme of a news snippet, and I'll tell you three ways in which most of the aspirants go through themes like that or any theme. Okay. And then at the end of it, I'll tell you the difference between a beginner and a mature aspirant. So, aap jahan pe bhi ho, you can, figure it out whichever part you are in. Okay. The second aspect of this webinar would be Ranadhir sir, who's been the coach and the mentor for Animesh, AI2, and other, worthy rankers who are going to get ranked this year or the next. He'll give you 3 to 4 questions and ask you to brainstorm out loud. And then he will tell you the basic versus advanced or the basic versus experts notes for those questions, right? So if there's a question on, let's say, secularism in India, all of you have read about this, so you might know a few pointers, but we'll tell you the exact points which are needed for an expert answer so that you can compare your notes. And the third and the final act of today's webinar would be, I'll introduce a new kind of concept you're working on in terms of news analysis, which would be happening at a monthly level. And you're the first webinar batch to get to hear that. Okay, so another one of the new things here. Cool. So I'll start with this, and I'll start with putting out the elephant in the room. The next 4 months, October, November, December, January, are quote unquote slump months for most of the students. The reasons are simple. You know that there's no exam pressure, festivals are there, winters are going to come, especially for the Northern India students. And for the veterans, they've just written an exam, so they kind of chill and relax for the next 4 months. And this is where most of the people end up losing the momentum and the steam. Now, let me give you an example of how a basic or a beginner versus a senior versus a ranker kind of prepares current affairs across these months for the mains. Because January onwards, you will be focusing on prelims completely. So there is no time for any of the mains or optional studies, at least till the month of June when you're going to write it. So for these next 4 months, if your 2025 strategy if you want to check your 2025 strategy, the next 3-4 slides are super important. Okay. Purely academic stuff, let's go on. You would have read AI pe news kafi sari, right? So I've just picked up snippets from the news related to AI from across the months. Okay, this is September, May, Jan, March, June, and April. Okay, all of these, I'm sure you guys have been preparing well. You would have come across these news either in Hindu, Express, PIB, or one or the other, right? The news could be as simple as another release of GPT, which is Strawberry or any other thing, or it could be as complex as Indian approaches to AI regulation, which is here, then data privacy or and generative AI implications, neural link implants in brain chip, which would then eventually go towards what next in biomedical, okay? Dark side of AI, right? So when most of us study news, we kind of read them in silos because obviously it's coming to us on a daily basis. So every day, even the most sincere students, they end up devoting 15, 20 minutes each on everyday news. But what actually UPSC wants you to do is something like this. All of these disparate news items from across the months, you should be able to map them into the actual UPSC GS syllabus paper. Give me a shout out how many of you guys have your notes under these headers for a topic as glamorous as AI. किस किसने AI के notes बना रखे हैं? I hope English is fine as a medium of communication here. English is cool, right, for everyone? Everyone, just keep participating because the more you participate, the more you'll get out of me. Okay, so in this year, did you guys make notes from AI? Yes, no? Okay, those of you who have made notes from the AI subject, the theme of AI, were you able to segregate them into these different GS aspects, science and tech, advancement in AI, which everyone I'm sure would have? Environment, carbon footprinting through AI. Now, I'll tell you later on what are the basic notes versus what are the advanced notes. But for the starters, you should have been able to do this. Polity and governance में AI कैसे आ रहा है? Society, social impact of AI, ethics, ethical implication of AI. These are basic stuff which you would have done, made notes here and there. You might not have been able to consolidate all of them into one single pager, but you would have read it here and there. Guys, please video on, yeah. It's always better to see the students. Thank you. I mean, the two-way communication happens when you are engaging in chat as well as I can see your faces. Then I can read you and I can understand if I'm going faster or slower. And I'll go in deep into this webinar, okay, in these subjects. Now, some of us are able to do this. Some of us throughout the year are able to crunch these apparently distinct news items into these slotters. Okay, and because you all are online, you all are preparing notes on your laptop or whatever, you'll be able to cut, copy, paste, and put these things into the bracket. Very few of us are able to do this. Very few of us are able to immediately figure out the actual exam level ramification of a complex topic like AI. Right? So in one of our Samachar Manthan weekly classes, where we give only 5 questions to you and you have to attempt it live, AI is transforming various sectors, offering immense benefits, but it also poses significant ethical challenges. Discuss the ethical implications of AI with a particular focus on its carbon footprint and potential conflict with the right to think as a fundamental right in digital age. Okay? Let me go back to the previous slide. So, आपको कुछ context वापस मिलेगा. These are 6 different news items, and there are so many more. AI में मतलब पूरे साल भर आए. So it's a very important theme. But if you look at the top right, the dark side of AI, it's growing environmental footprint and neural link implants. और यहाँ पे कहीं ना कहीं ethics वाला portion भी होगा. You will see that when we mix and match these 2 themes, we end up creating a question like this. And now, for a topper level person or a ranker level person, for that person to attempt this question in 250 words, you have to be able to convert all of your synthesized notes into 250 words in a way that you can actually put into the paper. Can some of you attempt this question? I don't want you to write in 250 words, but can you give me broad ideas? What are the implications on carbon footprint? कैसे सोचोगे? How would you think about this question? Even if you have like no idea about AI and exactly how it impacts carbon footprint, how would you think? Like एकदम basic से कैसे सोचोगे? Beginner level, if I would ask. Anyone, you would break into parts, use of data center, correct, inefficient use of energy for GPTs, using more servers to generate AI definition. Okay. So basically, AI is just a new tech, right? We've known that whenever servers used to be a big thing long back, a decade back. And so there was this idea about ये जितने servers use करोगे उतनी energy implications होंगी, right? You'll need electricity to run on that. Then what? You'll need housing. You'll need like data centers to put those servers in, right? And so data centers will actually also cost, it's equivalent to making houses, right? And they'll cost electricity. And all of this will compound into adding the impact. Then you will have IT companies now, which will be reducing the manpower and actually using these servers and using the technologies. So adding up the next layer or next level of impact in terms of carbon emissions. इतना सब कुछ हम common सोच सकते हैं, right? Let me just read through the comments also. Cooling, yes, Madan, that's an important point. Use of graphic cards. So you guys can also read your own comments. We have a pretty nice, sincere bunch of folks out here. You kind of know. So जितना जितना technology बढ़ेगी, जितना silicon chip पे काम होगा, electricity बढ़ेगी, उतना you will actually be capturing a lot of stuff which will eventually result in carbon emissions, right? So most of the things that you've said in details is actually a part of computation dynamics. The more computation it will take, the more data crunch AI machines will do, the more electricity they will sap. ठीक है, this is basic. एडवांस में दो चीजें ऐड हो जाती हैं, ठीक है? एक इज योर एबिलिटी टू काइंड ऑफ क्वांटिफाई द इम्पैक्ट. You kind of use statistics, data, analogies to kind of quantify the impact. क्योंकि ये सारे पॉइंट्स हर कोई लिख रहा है. If you can go through it, demand of critical material like lithium, that's an interesting point. पर उसके ऊपर के जितने सारे पॉइंट्स है ना, सब लोग लिख सकते हैं, बेसिक लिख सकते हैं. Let's go to the last slide for this segment. Let's look at the slide now. All your focus, every attention on the slide. Okay. So the basic pointers would be training all the GPT algorithm would basically take this much CO2 emission. IT industry, which will be driven by AI advancements, will be contributing to 20% of global electricity. Even a basic person or a beginner aspirant would be able to quantify thoda bahut. And then you have infrastructural impact. Each data center will consume a specific ton of electricity, which is equal to X number of homes. Now, I have still not gone into the right to think. I'm just brainstorming on the first part. But an expert, or as you get more and more advanced, as you kind of understand this topic in detail, you will be able to do two things. One, you will be able to actually talk about analogies, that emission of data is equivalent to driving 112 petrol cars for a year continuously. You can choose to make your answer interesting by having analogies. You will be actually able to quantify 5.5% of the world's carbon emission. And that's a good number to put on your paper. Am I making sense, guys? Yes, no, anything? That's it? How many people are there on this? Come on, guys. If I'm going fast, let me know. We have 116 folks. A good number of people, and I'm assuming you're all serious aspirants, mostly trying to attempt 2025. Okay. Cases are okay? Awesome. You see, the MIT Technology Review noted that the carbon footprint of cloud computing, which contains AI, has surpassed that of entire airline industry. And वो कौन थी वो बंदी जिसको Nobel Award मिला था for the environmental? Remember the name? She didn't. So there was this airline industry affair, right? And we've crossed that. Now, if you're going to put pointers like this, तुम्हारा answer will stand out from anyone else. And how will you put pointers like this? Only if you've gone deep into the subject. Greta, correct. And the second part would be that it's a bittersweet thing. You read the headline: AI technologies can both exacerbate and alleviate climate-related issues. So what UPSC wants you to arrive at is that there is nothing good or bad inherently. They're all trade-offs. Bureaucracy में सिर्फ trade-offs होते हैं. There is no binary good or bad. You do this, there's a cost to pay, and you should be okay with that. Am I making sense? This is how mature you guys have to be in your answer. So you have to start like that. And then you have to talk about the positives of AI, which are yet to be seen and developed in mass, are this: enhanced climate modeling. You would have accurate predictions of weather phenomena. So what? If you are able to do that, then you will be able to optimize renewable energy resources. So what? Like कैसे? Solar and wind को तुम approximately, as if you're able to optimize the weather patterns and analyze them properly, then you'll optimize your generation, and then you'll be able to feed that energy into the grid. So AI is basically general reasoning. It will be able to do that thing faster, basic general reasoning. Then environmental monitoring and management, better algorithm, higher efficiency. आपको ऐसे छोटे-छोटे notes बनाने. This is the topper's way, right? Let me just recap this, and we go to the second part of this webinar. Most of us, we start like this. We read AI news or any news, and I'll take you to one more news at the end of the webinar. We read news across the months in disparate pieces. Okay? And we make notes because we have to. Few of us, some of us are able to do this. We're able to figure out, ye sab ja kahan raha hai, and we're able to see more than science and tech and AI and actually make notes on those subheadings. Making sense? Some of us, because you've joined a course or you've joined a class, if you're preparing with yourself, you're able to give your friends these kind of challenges, right? So this is a question we picked up from Samachar Manthan. In fact, that kind of this thing also we do in Samachar Manthan, which is part of our UAP, the mentorship program, which Animesh was a part of. And he wrote all such answers for 50 full weeks, 50 weeks, 5 answers every week, all of them checked. I mean, his consistency was admirable. Anyway, this is what we are able to do. And the topper, after doing that thing, is able to actually figure out what are the basic stuff which most of people will write and what are the expert pointers, which I have to develop upon. So with this as the backdrop, what we'll do now for the second part, we'll call upon Ranadeep sir, and he'll actually give you previous year questions from UPSC. In fact, we've taken most of the questions from 2023 paper. And we'll ask you to brainstorm on the chat with us. And then we'll clearly show you the beginner versus expert pointers clearly. And the richness of the expert pointers are so much that you'll see 10 different dimensions which an expert can actually make out. And the idea to show you that is to tell you that, boss, if you're preparing for 2025, एक बार सेल्फ चेक करना कि तुम्हारे नोट्स इस डायरेक्शन में बन रहे कि नहीं बन रहे. Because for you to make that, you only have these next 4 months. उसके बाद you'll prepare for prelims because prelims will clear करने का है. Okay, and these are the solid months where most of your peers will slump. But you guys, if you can get a reality check today, you'll actually make the most out of these. Making sense? Am I clear? Should we move to the next part? Priya, yes. Guys, come on. I mean, you're what, 100 plus guys. Video नहीं on कर रहे हो, कम से कम chat पे energy तो चाहिए. This should make sense. It's purely academic. So, and your question will be, we'll answer them like at a later age. Cool. Anandi, thank you for joining in, and let's start.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I hope everyone is doing well. So yes, so we thought that why not take some previous year questions of UPSC mains. And this is some sort of self-test actually, which you can take upon yourself, which I generally do with my students. Once they have finished one topic, some other topic, generally I ask 1 or 2 questions for them. And then that will let me know that what's the competence and how far they have understood the topic well. So that's what we are going to do with you also. If I'm going fast, please tell me, okay, I'll go slow, no problem. Okay, let's take the first question as, what are the challenges to our cultural practice in the name of secularism, right? This is a UPSC 2019 question. So now, as a beginner, as in general, what does we think about actually? Because I'll tell you, when this question was asked 2019, many people got outraged that UPSC is also questioning secularism topic. Back in those days, there was lots of issues about even the country, the political sphere was a bit volatile actually uh, on secularism topic. So there are many people, especially in Rajya Sabha and other outside, saying that secularism has to be removed from Indian preamble. So, so yeah. So when this question was asked to UPSC, also people got outraged saying that how can UPSC ask such question? But that's what the difference makes for a beginner and an expert level or advanced third thinker actually. Which is generally when we study secularism, we study it as a very pious thing, right? It's never to be touched or removed. It's a very pious thing. Um, and what is the definition of secularism from Nehru? Okay, Sumit Kumar wants to speak in Hindi. Of course, मैं हिंदी में बात करूँगा आपको, कोई बात नहीं. So they ask about generally what we learn as a beginner in secularism is what is secularism definition, different types of secularism, comparing with the US or France or India or other countries. And that's where so in the beginner level, that's what we're discussing. So basic understanding of secularism, awareness, different models actually. What are the different models of secularism, which we can see, right? Even in France, there is a different type of secularism, as I mentioned here, which is a strict separation actually. Okay. And whereas in India, it's a different way. And not the limited perspective actually, focus on very limited perspective. And all this is where we start generally. So when we start reading a topic, this is what we limit into. So if we learn this much, we'll think that हाँ मुझे सब कुछ आता है. Now I got enough of secularism topic. मैं कुछ भी लिख लूँगा. But when such question comes in UPSC, then you will write answer definitely. But you will write answer definitely. You will write answer. But thing is, you will not get the marks which you expect generally. So you might expect some 6 to 7 marks or something, and you might end up with 1 or 2 marks. The reason is the preparation. Look at the preparation for an advanced or expert level person. Look at the preparation. The person who thinks, he has to already or she has to think whether really what is the problem of secularism, why people are asking that secularism has to be removed from Indian preamble. So what is that? So over secularization is also a problem. Why does Al Qaeda, Taliban, and all those people come? Why does religious fundamental arise? So these are the questions which you have to ask to yourself actually. That's what an expert person does. So they will go beyond what we study and they will start asking questions to us that is secularism really essential? See, once there was a question, I asked a question to my sir back then that why shouldn't we use religion in politics? Even though I don't support communalism or using religion in politics, I asked myself question like why can't we use religion in politics? If it is doing good, definitely we can use it. So that's what. So we have to ask questions, we have to raise questions. That's how. So how communalism is linked to secularism? Is secularism one of the reasons for communism or not? And look at the examples. Look, for example, in France, they banned burqa, saying that is secularism, everyone has to be same. So they are not respecting the cultures of the person actually. So if a person likes to wear burqa, then why should the government stop them from wearing a burqa? Simple. So over secularization does that thing. That's what we have to think of. But generally, what we think is secularism is secularism very sacred thing. We should not tinker with it. Thing is, just thinking of polar opposites. What's wrong in thinking actually? So doing or not a different thing, but thinking is important actually. That's why the nuance and also secularism impacts. We have to also see how it is impacting Indians. Why nowadays people are raising a lot of issues saying that India shouldn't be a secular country and all those stuff. There are many good thinkers like T.N. Madan, who is a good sociologist actually, who said that India shouldn't be a secular country. So we have to listen and read to them also so that we can understand a clear perspective or all around 360 degree view of secularism. That's how an expert level will think. And the answer from the expert level beginner will differentiate in this manner only. So the preparation is very important. If you prepare in this particular way, definitely your answer is going to be very rich. And you will not get any shock in examination when you see such question. How come UPSC can ask secularism is a threat to cultures and all those stuff? Definitely, there might be 1 or 2 perspectives which support the statement. That's why definitely UPSC might have asked, and we have to think in that manner in the preparation phase itself. Understood? You can read. I think this PDF will be shared, I guess. So you can read later on what all the points which have been written in this, and you can think. See, similarly, you can make for other answers also. It can be, if you go to next question, uh, it's again. See, look at this question actually. What is the main task of India's third moon mission, which could not be achieved in its earlier mission? Okay, that's the first question. List the countries that have achieved this task. Second question in this second sub question. Introduce the subsystems in the spacecraft launch, the third sub-question. And fourth one is explain the role of VLCC at VSSC, which contributed to unsuccessful launch from Sriharikota. See, this is a very detailed question actually. UPSC rarely gives us detailed questions. For example, if you look at the previous question in my pre-webinar video, I have shared a question regarding Juno, right? JUNO. It's a Jupiter mission by NASA. So it was very one statement, one line question. Later on in 2016, I think there was a question that why couldn't India make a manned missions? Okay, that's also very one line question. But right now, so UPSC is going very detailed. So it's a very detailed one. So what requires here is in-depth understanding of about space research and all the stuff. For example, in the beginner level, what we generally study is what are the past missions, present missions, and what are. So we study, everyone study about Aryabhatta. So Aryabhatta was the first mission, cycle पे लेके गए थे उसको. सबको पता है, but कुछ काम करनी है exam में. So then we have to, then we will move on to what we are doing. But UPSC always something about futuristic and mostly, for example, 16 they asked about why can't India make manned missions. So that was futuristic approach of UPSC. So why are we unable to do? In Juno mission, they asked question as application-based question. So if we are sending a satellite to Jupiter, what is that we are expecting to do for Earth? So how is it beneficial for us staying on Earth, studying about Jupiter? So it's application-based or futuristic based. Similarly, here also it's completely application-based and it's a bit technical actually, because this is one of the major important mission which we have launched in India, because no other country has reached this far south of the moon except India. So that's why I think UPSC entered into details actually. So what generally we study in beginner level is what is Chandrayaan mission, what are the earlier Chandrayaan missions. But we don't go into that technical aspect wherein what is that thing which we want to achieve in this third mission which we couldn't achieve in first and second. Even the first Chandrayaan mission was successful. Second was part successful and part failure. And third one is fully successful actually. Second one, only thing failure is the rover couldn't land properly. First one was also successful in doing whatever its objective was. So that's what we have to understand. So what was the first Chandrayaan mission's objective, second and third one objective, and how is it different from third one? This comparative analysis is very, very important for us to learn and to understand the things actually properly. Okay. And definitely, I think now everyone is focusing on the parts, right? Different parts of the space, shuttle and all those stuff. So what is the launching vehicle, launch vehicle, which is taking the satellite. Even, and you have to compare with what's happening in US also. There is a private company by Elon Musk is launching heavy, very, very heavy launch vehicles, using very heavy launch vehicles, and heavy satellites are being launched by with a company actually. So yeah, of course. So SpaceX only. So they are doing that. So why couldn't India do that? So in future there might be a question by UPS saying that why couldn't India lift heavy weight satellites to space, and reusable satellite launch vehicles are also being used by in US by SpaceX, which India still experimenting with actually. So future that may be also a question regarding why India couldn't use this reusable launch vehicles. And also, of course, we should also know what are the problems with India having no technology. We don't have enough technology, enough funds, of course, no resources. There are some bureaucracy also linked to it. So we should know all this stuff, restraints and constraints of India Space Agency. And always we have to compare with the other space agencies which are very on par with India or more than India, better than India, like US, NASA or ESA or CHIN. I think China also has a space, this thing, and JAXA of Japan and all this stuff. So we have to look into those and we have to compare actually where does India stand. We should not go, see when media makes halabalo of things like India, the greatest country in world now because it went into far south of moon. Just take it as a pinch of salt, take with a healthy grain of salt and think, अच्छा इंडिया ने नहीं किया तो बाकी कंट्रीज ने क्यों नहीं किया? Why didn't other countries go then? Why only India could achieve this thing? तो इंडिया को इतना टेक्नोलॉजी है कि इंडिया के पास कि कोई और कंट्री नहीं कर पाया, बस इंडिया ही कर पाया. So all these things we have to understand and we have to understand them properly. Only then you will able to attempt your answer properly. That's what I am saying. Preparatory phase is very, very important to write better answer in the examination. So these are the things which expert level, once you have finished your beginner stage, then you can assess. Then right now you can understand by yourself where you stand actually, beginner or expert level. Right? Most of the people I think can understand now itself. Few people are writing good keywords in the comment section. That definitely shows that they are at an expert level. And of course, so that's a self-assessment test which I am asking you to do by yourself. So the next question yes. Do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? 2023 question, very recent question. So now again, this question is about marriage being sacrament. And the first thing everyone should know is only in Hinduism, marriage is considered as a sacrament, whereas in Muslim or in Islam or Christianity, it's considered to be a contract actually. So that's a basic thing I think which everyone should know. That's a beginner level approach actually, where you should know the difference between marriage in Hindus, in Islam and Christianity. So in Hinduism, it's a sacrament; it can't be broken actually. It's only after independence we started having the concept of divorce. Otherwise, there was no divorce concept in Hinduism. That's what. And second thing which we also should know is the trends. We should know that there are many divorce cases in the courts. If you go to civil courts, family courts in India, if you aren't staying in Delhi, go to Patiala court once, you will see people will be lining outside the courts for divorce actually. So within 1 year divorce, within 1 month, I have also seen people taking divorce within 1 month. Even though that's not what Supreme Court says to be done. According to Act, can't be done, but still. So people are increasing divorce. That's what I want to say is divorce rates are increasing enormously, especially in urban areas. And of course, we are changing. And one of the reasons for increasing divorce is the changing family structure from joint family to nuclear family. That's what one of the reasons is being told actually. So the research found that one of the reasons. And we have to also understand how society is changing. How people started understanding what is marriage actually. So that's coming to expert level. That's what you will do actually. That what is marriage actually, and why is it divorce is increasing? Is it any legal thing? It's becoming very easy legally actually, and societal acceptance. People are accepting right now that divorce is an option actually, or a solution. Divorce is a solution for many issues. And also we have to also see what are the recent observations by Supreme Court in its various judgments. So every now and then Supreme Court judgments speaks about divorce and relationship. The famous cases I have written here, like LGBTQI case, how marriage can be done or not. Is marriage legal or not in the LGBTQI plus groups? So the thing is being aware with all these new developments and thinking that what can be the possible reasons, and also comparing India's marriage situation with Western countries or other Asian countries' marriage systems, like what happens in Iran, China, or USA, UK. That how is it the divorce rates are aligning with those countries or not? Or is it only India which is having the high divorce rates? So the thing is how the society, many people are nowadays going to US and coming back to India, going to other countries and studying and coming back to India. So they are bringing the culture of that countries to India. And is it that impact of those cultures studying abroad and coming back to India, or changing the definition of marriage itself, the meaning of marriage? Earlier marriage meaning was different. Right now the marriage meaning is changing. People are thinking that the partner should understand them. Earlier, it wasn't the earlier reasoning or idea of marriage actually. Earlier, marriage was a partner, just a partner, but now it's an understanding partner actually. So that changes. And within India, how is it changing? And within urban and rural India, how is it changing? And which gender is mostly asking for divorce? Is it female or husband or wife? So all these things are the very nuances of things. If you understand properly all these things, it becomes easy for you to write any answer actually. That's the whole point of discussing this whole things, that if you understand this nuance, it doesn't take much time to understand these things. And trust me, I'm saying, even though it looks 7 points and within that two points for each point, it doesn't take much time to understand this thing. The same article which you read, now read from this point of view, you will remember it, you will understand it very better, and you will also able to remember it properly actually. Of course, there is also Supreme Court judgment on live-in relationship also. Many high courts and Supreme Courts have given judgment on live-in. So coming to the next question, this is also 2023 question itself. Bring about one more reason why we picked 2023 questions is 2023. Now, after looking at these questions, you try to make certain same level of pointers in 2024 questions, which are recent mainstream. So you learn from 2023 questions and try to apply these for 2024 mains, and try to attempt those questions in this coming 4 months, okay, whatever time, whenever you get time. And bring about the social next, coming to next question.
Okay, so
Bring about
before that, just putting the anchor here, right? So what we are discussing over here are the level of information your notes should be having. This is like if you're reading at the basic level, or if let's say you're doing self-study and reading just at the basic level or thereabout, you're missing on this material for just the information. The second part is actually be able to put this information in 250 word or so time frame, which basically is now an art and a science, right? You have intro, body, conclusion, and in intro you put in like 30 words, let's say 25 words in the conclusion, and rest of the words in the body. And then body you divide in some framework, whatever 60-40 framework, which positive dikhana hai. Jaise ki, and I'm just giving you a perspective so that you kind of know where this whole thing ties up, right? So if you go back to this question, you have to mention the negative aspects of AI on the the carbon emission and the footprints, but you also have to talk about the positive aspects of the same thing, and then you have to segue into the right to think, which is about now decisions can't be taken ethically, and it's kind of grabbing away. Matlab, iska answer khud likhna. I've not gone into the whole question, but if you look at the sentences out here, they're smaller sentences and they pack a lot of value, right? So the approach for UPSC answer writing, which is a separate webinar and a separate session internal, is you have to be short but dense. You have to be short and dense in your answer writing. Okay, and once you have a lot of points, diagrams will automatically come on. आपके पास बहुत कुछ बोलने को है तो automatically you will make a diagram. That's not something anyone has to teach you. It's a byproduct of you knowing a lot. So this, if you have to put it into an answer, you'll actually be making a diagram, something or the other, whatever you can think of. You'll actually either make a sequential chevron diagram, or you'll make up a cycle of wheel diagram just leading to that. I mean, that's a whole.
we call it.
Correct. So for this, and most important thing in overall these things is the future trends. The job we haven't touched a lot, but these are the classes we take inside within the UAP course by one of the mentors. The future technological impact on the marriage. Okay, so I mean, we can't go into much detail over a webinar, but the idea is that all of this is your building blocks. What comes next is the ability to put those blocks into 250 words in a particular time frame, and that is an art which you have to practice and master, not something which you can listen to in a webinar and be equipped with, right? Now let's go to the last question.
Okay. Bring about, this is a very interesting question actually. I felt it very interesting because I tell you, bring about the socio-economic effects of the introduction of railways in different countries of the world. This is question which is especially targeted for expert level learners, because beginners will only look at when was railways introduced, 53, by whom, Dalhousie, from where to where, from this particular place. That's it. And from 5% interest will be paid to the British capitalist or investors. That's what they will learn. That's it. And sometimes they also learn if you read the book very carefully, whatever book you're reading, then you'll also learn that, okay, because of this, the movement of Indian freedom fighters has increased, or movement of troops has increased. This is one of the reasons for curbing, one of the reason for curbing 1857 revolt also. So this is what we learn generally. But with this knowledge, we can't answer this question actually. So that's where UPSC beats us. Okay, where because we study ABC and UPSC asks us what is D. So that's why we have to be also one step ahead. And trust me, that this doesn't mean that you have to read a lot more than what you are reading now, right? No, no, no. No. Just think. I'm saying think again. Look at the words in your expert level always. This whatever you are looking on the screen, there's a lot actually. We are not discussing anything. I'm saying not even 5% here actually. If you look at the words also, look at the okay, fine, I'll tell you. Look at the words at the beginner level. The word starts with nose, right? First point, sub point is nose, aware, nose, so aware. So that means knowing and awareness and little bit of understanding is what a beginner level is. Whereas look at expert level, they are comparing, they are examining, okay, they are exploring, they are understanding, they are analyzing. So this is what an expert level does, expert level student does actually. So they don't just know the things, they try to understand the things. That they only get the knowledge in the beginner level. It becomes wisdom in the expert level actually. So that's what we need to have to know. So the thing is, with the basic information we have to get to analyze them, examine them, explore them. And this hardly takes 10 to 15 minutes, 20 minutes extra time than what you require actually. So don't think that I have to read more and more and more. No, that's not at all the idea of this webinar actually. To read less, but make it intense actually. That's okay. So the UPSC answer is write less but more dense. Read less, but it should be intenseful actually. So it becomes intense when you think deeply, when you question yourself, question the points mentioned there. Similarly, look at the expert level points here. First question you have to think is why did British only introduced railways in India, even though it has multiple colonies in Africa and other Asian countries also. Okay, so that's the question you should ask yourself. How many of you ask such question? Tell me in the comment box. Whenever you read this topic, railways in India, did you ever ask the question that why did they only choose India to introduce railways? Apart, or from all the countries in Asia, they choose only India to introduce. And in of course for raw material, but thing is, did you ever ask this question actually? Because they are getting raw material from every country, even from Africa also they are getting some sort of raw material. It's not a big deal. Thing is, and we are not sending raw material from India to Britain through railways actually. So thing is, so you have to ask such questions. And you have to also see, okay, fine, if they introduced in India by British, then what about other countries, other imperialist countries like France, Germany, Spain? Did they introduce trains in some other countries or not? So if they didn't introduce, then why did only British introduce in India? So is it we are lucky that British ruled India? So 200 years. So that's what we have to ask questions again. And what is the impact of that introducing? How did it benefit England? How did it benefit India? So that's again a part which should come later on. First question asking is why did they introduce and all this stuff? So that's what. So how again did it help India right now? You tell me right now in 2023, how did the establishment railways 53 help right now in 2023? So even today, I think 60% of railways are led by British only in India, if not more than 60% actually. So how is introducing railways in India 1963, helping India 2023. And one more interesting question I always used to ask myself is, India was the first country in Asia to get railways. But right now it is Japan, South Korea and China, which are doing way better than India in railways. So what is the reason for that? So we have to ask such questions. Only then our thought process or thinking, everything will grow. And with that maturity comes, and with maturity will get good marks. Trust me, UPSC needs mature people, and that's what they choose actually. That's what they check. This is a question I'm saying really everyone can write again this question, but only few people can answer it properly in a way UPSC expects us to answer. So for that, you need again a next level of thinking, which comes from asking questions. That's what. Look at other points. Long-term economic development and impact on environment also they can ask. Right? Back then, the trains used to be running through coals and stuff. Okay. Yesterday, I think yesterday itself, British has shut off its last thermal power plant. in British. So the same coal which was used by British to run Indian trains, now they put off completely. So that's the first country to start thermal power plants, and the first country to shut it off completely, I guess, in G7 countries. Okay, so I have to link everything. So this linking of current affairs, linking of current issues to the previous ones are also very important in history, especially in history. The conclusion part should always be having a link to the present conditions. That would be a very good conclusion in history, actually. So I think you understood what I'm trying to say. If not, please ask me, or in the comment box you can put, or you can write a mail to us. Not a big deal. We'll definitely
Yeah,
try to answer.
now this is the exercise, which is self-assessment exercise, and this is where it ends for now. If you have any questions, please do ask on the chat. People who've been asking कि अभी 4 महीने में क्या करना है, etc. So because we go this deep in PYQs because it kind of gives you both critical exposure to go deep into the subjects you possibly would have read before, and also it gives you a sense of what UPSC is asking from the different micro themes. I'll tell you what we do. You have, when you start your preparation, this is what you do. You take up UPSC syllabus, I hope, and you kind of memorize it or put it on your walls of your study room, and whatever news you come across, you kind of try to do this with it. Some news came and is it relevant for UPSC or not? Somewhere or the other you'll do this, or at least you would like to. That's an ideal scenario. What we do at CD is that we pick up last 10 years of mains question and prelims question, and we see that, let's say, out of the 100 topics in UPSC, what are the topics which are asked more often, right? So it's an exam after all. It's not a PhD thesis. It's not learning for the fun of learning. You are going to play an exam. So some of the themes which we call micro themes are hot favorites. Like Buddhism and Jainism. कुछ तो आपको generally भी पता होंगे, but we go further deep into it. कि okay, like prelims में questions आ रहे हैं संगम literature में से, but किधर से? तो warrior poets, or poets were talking about the society of that area. So what we'll do, we'll prepare short notes for that. अब अगर AI के कुछ aspect से news question बना, so we'll tag it as a micro theme, and we'll say this is what needs your attention, which is something you cannot do, or let's say a senior aspirant can do if you've gone through multiple attempts, but a beginner cannot do on their own. And what we do then is we pick up from the 10 years PYQ, we pick up some of the leading micro themes which are recurring more often. So अगर आपको अपना cost benefit analysis करना है, ROI better चाहिए in your preparation for the next 4 months, it's better that you study for those themes. I mean, you prioritize those themes. आप पढ़ तो पूरा ही सकते हो. And so this year's Smash Mains, जो अभी 2024 के बच्चों ने दिया था, wherein we made X Factor notes with Animesh sitting in the office, Shubham sir was there, Arvind sir was there. We kind of went deep into the PYQs. So जो अगले 4 महीने का हमारा recommended agenda है वो ये है कि for the next 4 months, pick up at least last 5 years of PYQs and do in-depth analysis. Do this level of analysis, जैसे कि this kind of stuff. If you can do on your own, it's great. If you cannot, that is where we recommend that you join the courses that we float, because these are bang on practical courses. Because like I said, there's a part where your note making is this rich, expert level. Then there's a second part where you have to write the answers in 250 words, 150 words. Then there's a part where you have to know the frameworks and the basic rules so that it's automatic. See, GS papers have become like pure mathematics. You have to know basic fundas and then you can just keep answering. That is the reason why we get a lot of hit rates from our questions. Essays are becoming trickier on the UPSC because essays are now becoming more abstract, more philosophical. So you have to develop that thought. Essays is also a part of the UAP program, the one which animation they all have been part of. But abhi us UAP program ka focus for the next 4 months ye chal raha hai. Live PYQ answer writing. You will be having for the next 4 months, among other things, you'll be getting 40 lectures live on Zoom, where you will solve questions live. Jitna in-depth analysis Ranveer sir ne kiya na, utna hi Shubham sir will take you and actually will tell you what all stuff will do. This is the part of the course that we have been perfecting from 2016 onwards. And this is a snapshot of what happened in the class. This is our teacher writing the answers for you, with you. So this is Shubham sir's handwriting. So you will get the notes and everything, which is all there. but this is what happens in the live class. So you will be asked to write. It'll be a lot of back and forth conversation, and if you're a part of UAP, then your mentor will connect with you one on one every week or every 10 days, and decide the stuff for you. And this is the part of the course. So UAP 2025, if you guys want to crack in 25, तो अगले 4 महीने आपके ऐसे दिखेंगे. It will be heavily on PYQs. You will have every alternate day, या week में 3 दिन you will have 3 hour classes, with Shubham sir purely on PYQ. Apart from other things, you'll have essay classes, you'll have classes on, PY. अभी क्या क्या तुम्हारा independent एक target set होगा. हाँ Randeep.
It's a wrong slide, I guess. I think the schedule, your schedule for 3 minutes.
Which one? This one? No, this is just a slide. I mean, UAP. It's a UAP slide. So Smash is now given as a part of UAP program. The PYQs are part of this. This I'll come last. So the thing is that कि देखो खुद से पढ़ सकते हो, खुद से पढ़ लो. We wanted to give you a sense of where the competition is lying. If you get the drift, this is where most of the rankers are preparing their notes at this level. This is actually how they're also understanding answer writing. Okay. Yeah, so some of the people, it is expensive. The mentorship is expensive. It's slightly on the expensive side because it's a lot of heavy involvement. There are mentorship which are starting from, I know, so many coaching, they're starting from $5,000 or whatever. But वो possible ही नहीं है, guys. Then that is just doubt solving. That is nothing about preemptive, explaining or telling you यहाँ फंस रहे हो ये मत करो. This is the nuance is lost in mentoring, which they haven't perfected. So I don't have the slides to tell you how deeply perfected mentorship we have on board, but we maintain your profile online. तुमने कितना क्या किया? It's like a mini report card which is shared between you and the mentor, and it's like you might say it's as cringy as school days, but trust me, that's the only thing which worked. So Animesh attempted all weekly tests with us, and I've shown in my previous webinar his first answer attempt was as rookie as anyone's can be, and his final answer attempt was, he put all the diagrams, he's gone through all the PYQ stuff. So सारा मसाला उसने 2 पेज में crunch कर दिया था. He went beyond 250 words, but he used diagrams and he cracked it. Now, and when we work with you as a part of our UAP cohort, this is a dynamic thing. So we keep learning where are you stuck. And that is the last part of this webinar. I started with this, with telling you that, over the month we see these disparate pieces of news, and even the most sincere people among us will make notes. And then few of us will be able to link those notes under the themes. And then very few of us would be able to attempt the questions. Attempting the question basically makes it very real for you, because, you either are able to attempt, even if you know, or you're not. So it's like a litmus check. And then few of us make these basic to expert notes. खुद से बनाते हैं. Now, this is not easy. ये बिल्कुल भी आसान नहीं, especially for a beginner. It's not easy. And to tell you that, ऐसे कर लो would be like being slightly cruel on the optimistic side. To ask you to do these kind of, like Randy sir mentioned, right? Beginner की vocabulary यही होती है. Or you understand or you recognize. It's the knowledge, it's the information. But an expert understands, identifies, compares, contrasts, and analyzes, and all that thing. And that's not an easy thing to master. And so what we've done is, as a part of our weekly Samachar Manthan classes, which is part of the UAP course, we we crunch the news, जैसे मैंने दिखाया, and we give you this, the few most important items of that news. But we're now coming up with a monthly magazine, which is the best in this space. And I'm sure you guys are aware of all magazines which are out there, the famous ones, the not so famous ones also. But, Telegram is, kind of inundated with information. So what we figured out that what you actually need is that if a topic has come up in the news good number of times, that it merits you to take a focused shot at making revision ready notes. Here are the key elements that you need. Of course, you need great design, but you need a thorough context of GS 1, 2, 3, 4 papers. वो कहाँ पे आ सकता है? So this is a bulldozer justice article, which is just a 2-pager. And it's a burning issue, and there are 20 such burning issues which form a part of our monthly magazine, which is a part of Samachar Manthan course. And there's this big 115-pager big article on topics जो आजादी के बाद से उसमें issues चल रहे हैं. So you have to go in depth. We call that vantage. But let me just take you through this. So bulldozer justice बहुत पढ़ा ही होगा न्यूज में अभी. I mean, it's been coming in for weeks now, right? And op-eds लिखे जा रहे हैं उस पे, right, left and center, and then there are political commentaries and judges have stepped in, and there's a whole shebang which has come up with this. Now, if you are supposed to make UPSC revision ready notes, here's how you need to think. You need to be able to know कि GS 1, 2, 3, 4 में syllabus level पे ये कहाँ का fit हो रहा है. That's basic, right? So this gray highlight is basic syllabus level stuff. You guys are with me, right? Then you need to know पढ़ के याद क्या करने का है, because you can obviously get lost in details. So you need to know that for GS1, you have to be able to analyze societal inequalities and communal conflict in urban context. क्योंकि सवाल आएगा तो ऐसा आएगा, no one is going to ask you what is bulldozer justice and what are the key judgments around it. UPSC will never ask this plain simple question. For GS2, you should be able to link governance actions to constitutional safeguards. You should be able to know where is the state overreaching and where are they violating the rights of individual, right? That is how you need to make your heads think. For GS3, you should be able to link economics onto these things. You should be able to understand urban development projects, explore broader ramification of these kind of things, environmental impacts and whatnot. अगर हैं तो मतलब वो हैं यहाँ पे इसलिए इसको डाला गया है. And for GS4, I mean, it's a fertile case study material. I mean, that's easy for you to know. Then we talk about micro themes. Like I discussed, right? Micro themes are something from the PYQs. Where is actually UPSC hitting you at? This is pure practical stuff. So micro theme emerging urban issues पे PYQs में बहुत सारे सवाल आए होंगे. We've categorized them, and this gets added to that. Possibly आ सकता है. And so micro themes across GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we don't waste time on a lot of basic explanations. So bulldozer just as simple है. What's important for you to know is opinion of Supreme Court over time. That's crucial for you to know because ये GS2 में hit होगा कहीं ना कहीं. Then what's important for you is to understand this table that we've made, the legal principles violated by bulldozer justice. Right? Just give a shot at this. Just focus on this. This is as good as it gets in terms of making revision ready notes, which you can understand. And if you're engineers, you'll love it. But if you're any person who has a high value for objectivity, you'd want to make notes like this. And this is not just for bulldozer justice. If you quickly see the last section of this page, which is a back to basics, it's a static portion. We've just quickly divided justice ke legal and extra legal parts, right? It's something to jog your memory again, right? So mob violence. If I were to ask you to make a table on mob violence, you'll be able to quickly make something like that on top. Right? So we want to enable you to think like Sherlock Holmes and just analyze these things to the hilt. क्योंकि अगर ये कर लोगे ना तो वो जो रांधी सर ने बिगनर वर्सेस एक्सपर्ट का दिखाया ना, you'll be able to have उन्होंने बोल दिया it's easy, but it's like all these simple things are not that easy to do. I mean, if you were to lose weight, obviously you are supposed to get up in morning, have warm water, walk X number of steps. Easy things to do, but I mean, it's as complex. और नहीं कर सकते हैं, वो बहुत आसान है. इतनी योगा कर लो, nothing complex. You don't have to be a gymnast. In fact, if you are into fitness, you would know that a lot of people just say that weights, चाहे 2 किलो का उठाओ, but take 15 seconds to lift it up. I mean, it's so simple. It's so simple, it's ridiculous. And very unglamorous at that. There's no need for heavy machines and none of that shebang. You just have to be consistent with that, right? So this is simplicity at its best. So now 2 pages and you're done with bulldozer justice. And you'll have 20 such burning issues in a magazine we're going to launch in a week time. But we'll be taking classes on these magazines. And that whole thing comes under the UAP program. So UAP entails Samachar Manthan, which is a weekly current affairs program. And then it'll have a monthly component of this magazine. It'll have Smash Mains ka component where we do the PYQ Samiksha, जो अगले 4 महीने का focus है. So whoever is attempting 2015, no? Simple answer to what you should do for the 2015 is go deep in PYQs. क्योंकि उसके बाद Jan से आप mains prelims पे जाओगे. But this is it. This is as practical as your preparation can get. And obviously it all gets packaged into a very beautiful design, which we are always known for. And we've highlighted the stuff which you need to know and what should be done are the key takeaways. That's it, right? I'm happy to take any question. Okay. One of the question I want to ask as to how we can engage in regular exercise of brainstorming and diving deep into any topic. Okay. One of the things which we do as a part of UAP is that we take centralized sessions like these. Like I take some sessions. Ranji's sir is asked to take some sessions, which he used to call Friday Salon, wherein you brainstorm on these things. You go batshit crazy on, like he said, क्यों होता है इंडिया में रेलवेज क्यों आई बाकी जगह क्यों नहीं आई रॉ मटेरियल तो हर जगह होता था इसने बीच में सुएज कैनाल लिखा था so some people know that कहीं कहीं पे transportation was easy so that's good you learn from each other. Smash is not for 4 months. Smash का एक part है 4 months which is October to Jan and then you have a prelims break and then Smash continues after prelims. So if you're a UAP student you get the Smash for these 4 months as well. And it's happening only for this year. So brainstorming session we'll keep having as a part of your UAP, bi-weekly engagements. ये तो public webinar हो रहा है, but we take private webinars with our students. We do a lot of essay brainstorming. In fact, essays are the most unpredictable thing for the last 2 years. And this year we got 3 direct hits from our Smash essay program onto the mains one. So, direct hits तो ऐसे तो नहीं होते कि exact question उठ के आ जाते हैं, but like we were on the theme, right? And you'll have some ma'am taking those. I will take a few essay session as well. But the idea is that all of us are here. This is where we are. These are the slump months which are beginning. And even the most sincere people among us, क्योंकि ये सारे months की news है, हम कहीं ना कहीं notes बना रहे होंगे, but be part of this. But you have to reach somewhere here, within these 4 months. There's no way. Don't postpone this to post prelims. वो मत करना. क्योंकि post prelims you will be optimizing on your scores. Post prelims आप ना अपने score optimize कर रहोगे. आप अपना एक ना एक paper GS 1, 2, 3 को एकदम heavy weight बना रहे होंगे, and you will be actually going to double down on the points that you are actually good at. And we're doing everything that we can to make sure that your life is easy. So इससे better notes नहीं है. I mean, we sat down and we have no monthly magazine as such abhi tak. Atomic notes हैं which are like simple keyword notes, but these are the best. I mean, I can blatantly say that कोई नहीं है इस level पे जो summarize कर रहा है और आपको दे रहा है nothing. I'm staking my claim on that. And खुद से भी बना रहे हो ना तो इस level पे ही बनाना. It has a mix of practical versus as well as economy of words, which is exactly how your revision ready note should be. So सोचो हर महीने के 20 issues तो साल के हो गए 20 into 240 issues, जिसमें से कुछ issues में कुछ updates आएंगे, but मोटा मोटा मान लो 200 issues relevant रहेंगे. आप current affairs level पे उन issues को perfect कर लो, आपका mains तो ऐसे निकलेगा. And obviously something I've not shown you that there's one article which is called a Vantage article every month, which will be 20-page article, massively in depth about one of the themes जो इंडिया में painful रही है हमेशा से. तो इस महीने की वो issue है local self government. We've gone right from the beginning of independence till now, क्या issues हैं. And we've made it interesting by using all pop culture references as much as we can talk. So you don't get bored because that's the pain, right? That's it. That's the end of the webinar. I'm happy to finish it in 1 hour. That's great. And Ranji sir also was able to go through some of the webinars with which go on and on because he loves these topics. We can just discuss this with you for days. Okay. So which we'll do. I think Ranji in-house webinar, we'll do it like the way you used to do the French salon. क्या था वो नाम तेरा?
Friday Salon.
Friday Salon. Because it's good. It helps in developing. क्योंकि वो interviews में भी help करेगा. Thank you guys. Have a great evening. And it's a good night from our side. Lovely to have you here. Bye.